Entitled bosses that need to be fired. That's my, how does fire sound? Moving on. Boss fired me the day before my dad died. Since then, reached out twice, asking for my help getting into the corporate social media accounts I managed. My reply to her email from last week. I have nothing for blank you don't already have. I removed myself from all blank entities after my relationship with the company ended. You fired me just hours before my dad died from metastatic bone cancer. He had to be admitted to an inpatient hospice facility in mid-September because metastatic bone cancer is arguably the most painful death. When I first told you what was going on a month before, you acted like it was no big deal and brushed off my grief by comparing it to someone else's. To this day, I am appalled by the total absence of empathy and support from you as my manager gave me through the traumatic final days with my dad. I have nothing more to offer you. Soul to soul, I sincerely hope you have since realized that work is part of life and that life will affect your work. And there are ways to navigate it all without alienating or losing an employee. Honestly, nicer than what mine probably would have said. The worst part is when someone doesn't have empathy. No matter how big or small the issue is that you're going through, when someone meets you and there's no empathy there, what an awful feeling. Nobody is entitled to charge up any mobile phones or other electrical devices on these premises. It is theft of electricity, and you may find a deduction has been made from your pay. Okay, phones should be switched off. Well, that's illegal. That has to be illegal. Theft of electricity? Please, you're doing too much. Who typed this up comfortably and said, I stand by these words? The boss who asked their employee to paint 3 murals for free. So, right. Get ready for this bullshittery. Work has asked me if I can paint 3 huge murals for the house. I, of course, said, hell yeah. I'm down. I asked today, my manager, does she just want me to come in on the days I'm not down for cleaning shift and do like a 5-hour shift and we can call it an activity shift, right? And she legit looks at me like I'm being unreasonable. She clearly hadn't thought I would be doing it completely for free. Like what? Did she expect me to just come in on my free time to paint 3 giant walls for free? They're gonna take ages as well. I think she thinks it'll be like a couple of hours per wall or something. She legit called me cheeky and then said she'll have to talk to the owner about it. Bruh. The audacity. I'm asking for minimum wage for a job that should cost a lot more. And she made me feel like I was the one being unreasonable. Bruh, I get it. I feel for you. Anything for free, but a mural on a giant wall, 3 of them? Oh my God, time consuming. Not to mention the material you're gonna use to paint it. My girlfriend's boss fixed everyone's schedules after they were complaining about not getting a lunch break on Sunday by making them work 10 minutes short of being legally entitled to one. Talk about petty. Just a note, I updated everyone's schedule to 11:40 to 5:30 on Sundays, so no one should ever hit 6 hours that day, and we won't have to worry about scheduling lunch breaks. Should make that day real simple. Only $110 per person. Sick. Yup, sounds like somebody I don't want to work for. That's their way of problem solving. And if it follows under the law and the guidelines, there's quite literally nothing you can do about it. That's so annoying. Petty. Husband's boss is trying to guilt him into not taking the total amount of paternity leave that he's entitled to under HR policy. My husband's company allows 5 weeks of paternity leave. He is entitled to take the full 5 weeks consecutively according to HR, and his boss is aware of this. When he told his boss he planned to take it, his boss acted shocked and like it was an issue, but then said, I mean, I can't tell you not to take it, but that's a long time without you. So today my husband had to meet with his boss and the guy above his boss. The guy above his boss asked if they could work something out so that he isn't taking the full 5 weeks consecutively, and maybe he'd come back after 3 weeks and then take the last 2 weeks later. I am effing livid at the audacity of these people. I told my husband they cannot pressure him in this way. I am an attorney and I work for an attorney general's office. My husband is not a pushover, so he did not agree to what they asked, but it pisses me off so much that they attempted to guilt him into taking time away from us bonding with our new baby together. We have been through 3 miscarriages, and a surgery in order to get to this pregnancy, and the fact that they don't think he deserves 5 weeks with me and the baby makes me livid. Well, they're not even thinking about you and the baby. In all honesty, they're thinking about their business and the effect that his absence will have on that and the workload and stuff. They're not even thinking about you.
But what about the shareholders?
Which is awful. I'm not agreeing with that by any means, but clearly they're just worried about the business. I also, side note, I think it's great when jobs also give paternity leave for the husband. That isn't at every job. From what I've heard, even with friends and stuff who have children, not every job offers, that amount of time. So respect. I have 2 employees that usually leave work at 6 p.m. They are good, but I don't like that their commitment lasts for work hours only. What should I do as CEO? Maybe not be a CEO because, yeah, you don't like that employees only work during paid hours? Someone wrote back, you should copy and paste this complaint into a table in Microsoft Word 2007, print it double-sided in landscape mode, fold it in half 8 times, soak it in olive oil, and shove it up your ass. I had no idea where that was going. I'm like, what advice is this? And what is the purpose? Yes, to shove it up yours. I'm glad you said it and not me. Entitled boss thought she would rip me off. This happened several years ago when I picked up a part-time job working at the mall. I had started working at a kiosk in the mall selling t-shirts, ball caps, golf balls, etc. They had a catchphrase that read, shut up, and varied from sport to sport. They sold well, but the owner, manager / boss, had a personality of a nut bar. I worked a late shift until the mall closed, Monday through Friday. I showed up one afternoon for my shift and the boss woman was there, and I proceeded to put on my smock and get ready to take over when she told me that she did not need me that day. No notice, nothing. I asked her when I should come back in and she said that she was unsure. It happened to be payday, so I asked for my check and she said she did not have it done yet, but it would be ready the next day. So I left and came back the next afternoon to collect my paycheck. She still did not have it ready and I would have to come back again. This was not sitting well with me, so I went to the police in the mall and asked them what to do. The police did not have a lot to say, but said management at the mall might shut them down if they don't pay. I checked with mall management and they told me that I should see Revenue Canada. Oh, this is in Canada, making us look bad. So I phoned Revenue Canada, made an appointment, and went in a few days later. Revenue Canada was very helpful. I explained the whole thing to them, told them which mall this was at, and they made phone calls to the mall. Mall management cooperated, gave the name of the business, name of the owners, bank information, and everything. They went into the bank info and froze the account. And then we all drove to the mall. This is an ambush. They came and shut the business down, took all the inventory, and spoke to the owner. She handed me a check and I showed it to Revenue Canada agents. They took it and photocopied it. She had apparently deducted so much money for 2 weeks of work, all in income tax. The revenue agent set up another appointment with me for the next week at their office. They took the income tax overture I paid and made sure it was turned into a credit so I would not have to pay more. Then they told me they are auditing them for 7 years, which effectively bankrupted them. It made my day and many mall workers were smiling when they found out. It was definitely an F around to find out kind of moment. One thing you do not want to F around with is, in fact, taxes. I hate them, as we all do, but we have to pay them. Probably one of the worst parts of life, to be honest. Entitled manager fires employee for not being available outside of work hours and then writes an article bragging about it. Ew, I already hate them. Want to work 9 to 5? Good luck building a career. Our careers are a part of our lives, and try as we might, we can't always leave work at the office any more than we can leave home at home. You really thought you did something with that. We got part of the article at the bottom here. I recently fired my first ever direct report. Although he was low energy, uninspired, and an awful speller, what ultimately led him to the axe was his insistence on boundaries. He would come into the office at 9 every morning, leave at 5, and be inaccessible anytime before or after. Regardless of deadlines or passion projects, his workday was determined not by his work, but by his hours. You know what I love? You know what I truly love? When an owner or a boss or whatever thinks and truly believes that you should work off the clock. Off the clock. Just because of passion. Okay, do we get paid the same? You want me to be passionate and hustle for your business. Oh, that's funny. But what's my pay? You can pay me after hours and I will for sure be passionate about the project. Y'all, when I tell you, I have been there. And that is all I will say. Entitled boss fires me and still wants to be friends. I'm thinking not. It's even worse than the title, to be honest. I've been this family's nanny for 3+ years. Youngest child is only 6. I took 6 days off at their insistence because I was having a miscarriage. The day before I was due to return, I got told, we've actually managed without you. So could you just work tomorrow and then we don't need you anymore, but we can still be friends and meet up. I worked that day, picked up my stuff, dropped off their keys. By the time I'd driven home, she'd blown up my phone with messages saying, I'm upset too, you know. I blocked her number, now she's harassing my husband. Sorry, honey, you don't get to fire someone during one of the most traumatic moments of their lives and expect them to stay friends with you. Nor will I come running back when you realize you now have no childcare. Yeah, there's a way to go around that. If you're legally entitled to let someone go and you no longer need their business, there's a proper way of doing that, maybe with a little bit of notice, explanation, kindness. This story takes place in 2021. At the time, I was 20. I worked as a server barista for a brunch restaurant. Overall, I liked my job, but the manager was the worst. She hated me because I was a threat to her job. I had ownership experience under my belt. I owned a restaurant with my family prior to this job. I expressed to the owners and her that I had no interest in her job, but she did not care. The owners were open about wanting to replace her. She had awful reviews and a high turnover rate. She hated me from day one, always demanding I work the extra shifts as opposed to asking me, giving me the menial tasks and coming in the earliest hours. Anytime I needed off for something, she'd get on my case about how we were a family and I had to pitch in. When I was tearing myself apart trying to please this lady. That's only a few. Just trust me on this one. She was awful. I trust you. Say less. This is what finally broke me. In March of 2021, I needed surgery. I'm fine now. Thanks for letting us know. Doc said I need a week off. When I came back, I had a strict regimen from my surgeon about what I could and could not do, no heavy lifting, etc. I gave it to her and went over it. She put on that sickly sweet smile and said, no problem, sweetie. Eye roll. It was a Saturday. I was alone in the barista bar with a line out the door, 3 third-party tablets blaring, and a 4-table section and servers at the service bar bugging me about drinks. Now this next part is fuzzy, but this is what my coworker said happened. I was stumbling through the kitchen, eyes glassy and hands grasping for counters to hang on to. I was mumbling about making coffee when I promptly hit the deck out cold. They said I was out for a few minutes. When I came to, I heard them on the phone with 911, and I said hang up because I cannot afford an ambulance, LOL. That's so real. I have been there. Standing over me was my friend Jay and the manager. And the first words out of this woman's mouth were, "So when can you go back on the floor? We really need you." She didn't even ask me if I was okay. This was my first day back, for F's sake. That was the moment I realized she didn't even see me as a person, just a work monkey. So I responded and said, "You can accept my 2-week resignation." Got up and left. When my 2 weeks were up and I told her it was my last day, she asked me if I was really serious about that. Like, yes, biatch, I'm so glad I'm out of here. Understandably so. All aboard! Hydration station. Let me know what's in your cup, but it better be at least a sip of water, because I care about you. Cheers. Have a good day. I want to be upfront with everyone. Just had 2 employees quit today without explanation. So if you know anyone looking for work, let me know, and please be patient with us at Blank Sandwich Company as we roll with the punches of this last minute development. There's always a reason. If anyone can volunteer until I can find new staff, I would be eternally grateful and even give you a... Oh, sorry. Oh my god, I had a burp, but I almost threw up just from the statement. And even give you a sandwich. So you're, okay, hold on. Employees quit on the same day without explanation. There's probably a reason. It's probably you. Just a wild guess. And you want people to volunteer and work for you for free, but you might even give them a sandwich.
Crazy. What a deal.
Yeah, I'm picking up some kind of feeling on why people may be quitting. Boss wants me to work while injured. We gotta work for better people, you guys. Like, come on now. I once had a boss who was the worst person I'd ever worked for. She took over the supervisor position of an organized, well-run establishment and began making ridiculous changes that upset our efficient system. Micromanaging was just one of the problems. Oh, that can be the worst. She would tell me to do X, then say, "But first do Y." I would start Y, and then she would say, "Stop, I need you to do Z." While I'm doing Z, she'd come and ask if X was done yet and why I didn't finish Y before starting Z. Constantly. And she would deny every time that she had anything to do with my obvious incompetence. She was also hyperactive and expected everyone to keep up with her. She would run around like crazy and get stressed instead of thinking things out first and planning coverage. So one day I come in to find out we're the only 2 working because she screwed up the schedule on a day we had multiple events. That meant constant stress and strenuous work with no breaks at all. I was already planning to just carry on as if it was a normal day, knowing there was no way we could ever cover everything, and I was not willing to kill myself on her behalf. Of course, we had an emergency when one of our machines quit and she wasn't willing to call a service technician, so she sent me to take a look at it, and while doing so, I ended up taking a fall due to a slippery floor. Not my fault, it was a new cleaning person who used too much water and wrong product. I hit hard and was stunned. It took a while to take stock and I needed help getting up to find not only was I hurt from the fall, but I'd hit a metal stand on the way down that ripped my work polo and sliced through my shoulder. I made my way back and told her what happened, and her comment? "Oh, it's okay, we've got plenty more polo shirts." WTF, lady. Not being an idiot, I informed her she could arrange my transportation to the doctor used by the firm, normal practice in my country, and I left with a coworker from another section. When I returned, I had both arms bandaged, sprained left wrist, and wrenched right elbow, and with a doctor's note excusing me for at least a week. Talk about a tumble. She looks at me and says, "Get busy, we're behind and I've been covering for you." I handed her the note and walked out without a word and refused to acknowledge her. The entire crew quit shortly thereafter, including me. You know, kindness and being a decent human being goes a long way. You might keep employees longer if you're just a nice person. Ever thought of that? I was supposed to open up a restaurant as the head chef, my own menu. My wife made the bar menu, our staff, so on, so on. The owner, who was a man I had worked with for 3 years, refused to give me anything ranging from keys to something written in paper or basically any form of commitment, but expected an entire dinner and bar menu. Red flag. I had talked ideas with him so he knew where I was going, but I refused to give him a written menu till I got a written promise of employment, pay, and role. Smart move. Let's just say that the restaurant is still an empty building. We got some texts. Can you send me the vanilla and chocolate cake recipes? They aren't in parsley. Hey, seeing as I'm no longer baking, I don't feel comfortable having my recipes being used by someone else. I'm sure the new baker has her own recipes she's comfortable using. Is that a real statement? Yes. Good luck to you. Yeah, they're probably trying to steal your recipes, for sure. 100%. They want your recipes just to keep using them without you. I don't think so, but nice try. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.